Welcome to our Galactic Alchemy podcast.
Whether we are exploring intuition, healing, or higher guidance, you are invited to tune in, not just with your ears, but with your heart and your energy.
I'm Anita, and I work with soul-aligned leaders, visionaries, and healers to restore energetic coherence, awaken truth, and reconnect to the intelligence of the heart.
I'm Azriena, and with my soul alchemy modality, I guide people in multidimensional soul integration, clearing timelines, transmuting distortions, and reclaiming their own unique soul gifts.
This podcast is a space for deep connection, for attuned conversations that clear distortion, awaken soul gifts, and return us to the frequency of who we really are.
Welcome back to Galactic Alchemy. Or if this is your first time joining us, welcome in. You know that moment when it feels like the ground just drops out from under us? Like everything we've been holding on to starts to unravel thread by thread. The beliefs that kept us steady, the structures we've built our lives around, that polished version of ourselves we present to the world. It hits hard. Relationships crumble, dreams shatter, and our sense of who we are seems to fade away. And in the middle of it all, that quiet panic creeps in. Am I broken? Am I falling behind? Is everyone else moving forward while I'm stuck here, coming undone? It can feel so isolating, like the world keeps spinning for everybody but us, and we're left in the wreckage, wondering how to pick up the pieces. So today, we head straight into that unraveling. We are inviting you to sit with the notion that falling apart is not the same as falling behind. What if, in fact, that unraveling is indeed the breakthrough that our deeper, inner, higher self has been asking for? In fact, what may look like collapse is the exact breakthrough our soul has been quietly demanding. The shadows aren't here to punish us, they aren't here to break us, but they are here to purify, dismantling what's false so that what is most authentic can emerge and start taking center stage. Integrating the shadow often feels like we are falling behind societal timelines, but it's actually accelerated inner evolution. We're not being stalled, we're shedding the outdated elements that's been holding us back. But there is a common detour, a pitfall, on this journey, and it's called spiritual bypassing, where we try to skip the hard parts, glossing over the messy bits. We rush to slap a shiny positive spin on the pain with sayings like, "No negativity allowed. Just raise your vibration. Just get over it. Good vibes only." This is where spirituality is used to leap over the raw human stuff we are actually meant to face and integrate. We've all done it at some point, I'm sure. It's understandable, but it doesn't lead us to true integration. It just postpones the deeper work, the real alchemy. So today, we're slowing down. There is no pressure to rush through the discomfort. We're walking into the shadows together. We're looking at why the breakdown can actually be the breakthrough, how to spot spiritual bypassing when it's happening, and why meeting the shadows head-on is what moves us forward, not backward. So if you've ever felt like your darkest season was secretly your greatest ally, let's head there together. Anita, over to you to take us on a quick trip to drop in together.
Thanks, Azriena. So wherever you're listening from right now, I invite you to take a gentle deep breath in, allow your shoulders to soften, your jaw to unclench, and your attention to come back into your body. Take another slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, imagine letting go of the need to have everything figured out. Feel your feet on the ground beneath you. Feel the quiet intelligence of your body, the part of you that knows how to move through the seasons of change, even when the mind feels uncertain. Place your hand on your heart if it feels comfortable, and simply acknowledge, whatever is unfolding in my life right now, I'm allowed to meet it with compassion. Take another beautiful deep breath in. When you're ready, gently come back to the conversation with us.
Thank you, Anita. Do we feel that settling, everyone? That feels so beautiful to me. That grounded space is exactly where the shadows feel safer to show themselves. So let's start big and exploring what's really happening in these unravelings. Looking at things through a micro lens first, in the intimate territory of our own lives. When things fall apart personally, it can feel so raw, so immediate. Maybe a relationship crumbles, a long-held dream dissolves, health challenges arise, leaving us in this heavy, confusing fog. It hurts so much because it's lost on every level. The old ways of feeling safe, seen, or being in control are stripped away, and suddenly we're walking through darkness without a map. Let's gently unpack what this actually is, why it hurts like it does, and why it's not the failure it appears to be. Anita, will you guide us into this, please? Walk us through what this intimate falling apart reveals about the parts of ourselves that we've hidden or suppressed.
Thanks, Azriena. Often when something feels like it's falling apart, it's an opportunity for us to sit and think about what it is we've been setting an intention to accomplish in our lives. Because as we're sitting in the energy of wanting things to shift, wanting life to improve, wanting things to get better, the only way that's going to happen is if something changes. Because if it could already come to you in the way that you want it, you'd be experiencing it already. So when you're setting intentions about life improving or shifting, you have to know that change is coming towards you. And when it does, it can show up as a change in a relationship, a change in a home, a location, geography, or a change at work. In these moments, you have a chance to pause and look at what's happening. So let's look at a relationship for a minute. When we ask for a shift in our relationships, we want strong, healthy relationships. Often, the relationship that's causing you pain, where you're not honoring yourself or another person, comes to the surface and you have to sit and look at it. And it could be somebody canceling on you, somebody letting you down, somebody who says something unpleasant and you just can't overlook it anymore. And these seem like small things, but actually they're the result of a lot of small infractions that build over time. And now you're looking at your friendships and wondering why you're in them. Why are you here? And what do you need to do? Are there any more lessons to be learned here? Or is there something else happening? So I'll give you an example. When you have someone in your life and the relationship is just really familiar, but it's not sustaining you, it's not nourishing you, and the idea of spending time with that person, whilst appealing initially, is often also fraught with worry, concern, and anxiety about the outcome.
So what I see, Anita, the dissolution of all of this, it feels like part of growth is going through that discomfort. So when you talk about the intentions, it could be an intention we silently set 2 years ago about wanting more genuine, uplifted, positive friendships or relationships. And then that time comes and it's like this is the growth that we have to go through. And I see it almost like in order to grow, sometimes we need to burst through the cracks, right? Or like, when a seedling is trying to break through the surface to grow into a tree. So we are having to break through the cracks, and from these cracks, the light starts shining in.
We all want connection, and sometimes we'll take connection at any cost. And if you already know that there's something here that has expired, that no longer fulfills you, and it's not making you a better person, then why won't you give yourself permission to step away? Permission's a really big deal. permission to be in a relationship, permission to step away from a relationship. And if we've had very strong authority figures growing up, those permissions sometimes are not available to us. So just pausing and saying, I give myself permission to breathe, to come back into center, to align, and to ask another hard question. What am I hiding behind? What does this relationship mask about what's really going on internally? What do you think, Azriena?
So I think those questions could also be adapted if what's falling around us involves a career change or someone being retrenched when they're already trying hard to make ends meet, or a health challenge as well. What are some other specific questions that one could ask when they're facing these challenges?
One of the questions that occurs to me is, if I allow the shift that I've been praying for or stating to the universe that I'd like to have, what would my life look like if I started to shift the dial and move in the direction of that intention? How would I show up? How would I present myself to the world? What would that person look like in a day? What do they do when they get up? What are their practices? What are their patterns? What are the new patterns that they incorporated into their daily life that over time shifted the dial and got them aligned with the place they say they want to be? If you want to leave a relationship behind, what does that look like? What would your life look like without that person in your life? Who would you call about the things that you normally speak to them about? What activities would you pursue if that person was no longer available to meet with you? In the work that I do, I'll often ask you to sit in your heart space and visualize where you want to be in 6 months or 12 months, or when you have the goal you're setting for yourself. And in doing so, what would you need to do between that goal and who you are now? What would you need to do to shift? And I say this sometimes to clients. You already have everything that you need inside of you. And you have the tools, and you have the ability, and you have the determination. You need to hold the goal in your mind, and you need to see yourself showing up in the world as the person who walks through the world with that power, or with that wisdom, or with that strength. How do you walk through the world when you've achieved this goal? Let's look around your friendship circle. Who stayed? Who left? Look at your home. What did you need to clean out? What did you need to shift? What did you need to change in order to get to where you need to be? Whilst change isn't always comfortable, it's absolutely necessary if you're going to commit to this goal. And that requires a level of commitment to yourself. You have to be disciplined about the goal. You have to make a commitment to it like it's the love of your life and you're going to go for it. All chips in. We can't just do a vision board, stick it in the corner and think, that's it, I've done the work now. Come on, universe, just send it to me. It doesn't work like that. You have to be consistent. I would encourage you to take one action every day that is a commitment to the goal that you've set for yourself. Are you starting to take actions that show the universe you're serious, and then each day keep going? It's consistent commitment to yourself that gets you to where you want to be.
I think what you've given us there is some bite-sized digestible actions that one can incorporate into their everyday routine. And the theme that keeps coming up for me is consistency. And I think that's very important because we can chip away at things. Instead of looking at the overall picture, it can be very, very daunting when we're trying to get from one place to another and we are in the quagmire of big life challenges. Everything seems so overwhelming. But the breaking down of action steps make everything seem less overwhelming and just a bit more achievable. And then we don't have to sit in the space of feeling like an absolute failure because we haven't gotten there. Because the list just seems too long and everything seems huge. The personal storm that feels chaotic and isolating. But it's never just about us alone, isn't it? So let's expand that lens now. Let's zoom out to see how this unraveling fits into a much larger evolutionary process. Because what feels like personal collapse is often part of something planetary and soul deep. So let's shift our perspective now, zooming out from the individual to the collective, from the psychological to the spiritually expansive. We'll explore why the breakdown is not a delay. It's aligned with a greater awakening unfolding across humanity and beyond. So Anita, what's your take on how this personal dissolution ties into the larger alchemical process that humanity is going through right now? How do you connect the dots between someone's individual falling apart and the larger planetary or soul level awakening that's happening right now?
I think that's a great premise for us to work with. Before we have any great big shift in our lives, often we have a dark night of the soul, something where we really need to grapple with what's going on. For example, where something isn't working the way we want it to. And then the idea of feeling helpless and needing to reassess everything and look at the choices we're making and seeing if they really uphold the dreams that we say we have. And then at some point, there's an absolute surrender that we have no control over things, taking some of the burden and the weight out of the situation and letting us just see what happens, trust that the universe has a plan for us. The universe really does speak to us in synchronicities, and all we have to do is breathe and observe what's going on around us. Often the universe is not thwarting our actions. It's trying to support us to make sure that when we arrive at where we want to be, we're in good shape. It really is something that will fulfill us and we're happier.
But what about the spiral soul evolution? The societal progress, expectations, achievements is quite linear. You do certain things by a certain age. But the evolution of the soul may have a different plan. Let's say we just suspend your disbelief for a moment. Let's say before we reincarnate or before we come to Earth, there was already a soul contract in place. And it's already kind of written in that, the challenges that we're meant to encounter. And based on that, all this falling apart actually is accelerating our inner growth.
And it's designed to create unity. It's designed to bring consciousness to a new level where unity is a choice. It's not just happenstance.
Reminds me of the saying, as above, so below. We are all like the cells of Mother Earth, and then Earth is the cell of the universe, of the cosmos. So one doesn't happen to something and then not affect the other. And there is a ripple effect where our own healing affects our immediate family, and it affects our community, and then in the energetic space, it also has that impact across timelines.
So put the energetic mask over your own mouth first, make sure you're in good shape first, and then you'll be of more help and assistance to everyone around you.
Exactly. So integrated individuals do contribute to the collective healing and our ascension. So seeing this macro view can bring a quiet relief, hopefully, that our own unraveling has purpose that's beyond the personal. It's part of the soul's intelligent design. But knowing isn't the same as embodying. So let's get practical. How do we meet these shadows without slipping into spiritual bypassing? So here we turn towards action and discernment. Let's finally talk about spotting spiritual bypassing in real time and choosing the path of true integration. The honest embodied work that turns breakdown into breakthrough. So Anita, what's your experience with recognizing spiritual bypassing when it's active? And what embodied practices actually help people stay with the sacred inner work instead of just skipping ahead?
So spiritual bypassing usually shows up when spiritual language is used to escape emotional experience rather than integrate it. You'll hear phrases like, everything is just an illusion, I should be above this now, I need to have a higher perspective, I need to stay positive. And on the surface, these sound spiritual. But often they're just ways of avoiding the alchemical fire that real transformation requires. Integration happens when we allow emotions to be felt without judgment. That's where practices like compassionate witnessing become powerful. Instead of trying to fix or suppress a feeling, we meet it with curiosity. What is this emotion trying to show me? That gentle presence allows the shadow to soften and integrate rather than remaining hidden. For everything to shift, for everything to grow, for something new to come through, you have to sit and just honestly look at what is it that I'm getting from this experience.
So Anita, I'd like to share one of my earliest memories of seeing spiritual bypassing in action. So we're going back about a couple of decades ago. There's no vocabulary in pop psychology that describes this. I wasn't aware, but I remember being in a situation with another couple of friends, and one of them was going through not even like an overly tough time, just a little bit of a challenge at work, let's say, and she just wanted to have a bit of a rant. But then I realized there is this other friend who was there, and he was so quick to shut it down. He was so dismissive of what she was sharing, but it wasn't done in a way that was constructive or safe or caring. And to me, what I saw was his own shadows coming to the surface, because this was what he did. Oh, no, la, 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 la. No, I'm not hearing any of that. No. We're not talking about anything negative here. Positive things only. Positive things leads to positive outcome. There is no space for anything negative. So I sat there, and now I know it's spiritual bypassing. Back then I didn't, but I know it didn't sit well with me. And I just thought, this is BS. This feels wrong.
You know what's interesting about that, though, is as you were saying, I'm not listening, only positivity here. I'm thinking, let's just put a Band-Aid on it. Actually, this thing probably needs more love, more attention. It might need something to clean the wound, and then you might need stitches. You might need a little, emotional surgery here. But instead, place a Band-Aid on top of it, offer a panacea, and in doing so, we didn't give that moment the attention that it needs. So guess what? It's going to come up again, and then it'll come up again. And every single time you spiritually bypass and you don't address the root issue.
As I was witnessing this exchange, I was actually feeling stronger about the dismissive reaction that this friend was giving to the friend who actually had the problems.
So now it's not about your friend's problem, it's about the fact that he was dismissive.
Yeah, so I observed that, and I just thought, I don't have to subscribe to this contrived positivity where everything needs to be positive. We can only talk about the good stuff. Even back then, I had space to acknowledge the shadows. Even back then, where my work wasn't as deep as it is now with regards to what we are doing with energy work, I had the discernment to feel that. And I just said, no. If we are angry, if I'm upset, there need to be mediums where I can channel all this energy and let it ebb and flow out of me. And now, obviously in this day, I know how we can transmute it.
I love that you said transmute it, because I wonder if everybody out there actually knows what you mean by that.
So when we talk about transmuting, it's transforming. Because like we say, energy transforms, energy doesn't go anywhere. So we don't just talk about, oh, let me clear this thing. When you clear it, where does it go? Okay, maybe you send it back to Mother Earth, or we send it up to higher light. But for me, the alchemical concept being played out, which is that energy will get converted, it will get transformed. And in my work, I do the best that I possibly can to ensure that the energy that we've cleared does get transformed to its highest self.
And that's why you care about people being dismissive about these woundings, because you know that they're going to come back, and you're so conscientious about doing quality work that you know immediately that that doesn't sit right with you. So the dismissiveness isn't tapping into one of your wounds. It's tapping into the idea that you understand how energy works. It's not going to go anywhere. If you keep moving it around a room, it still stays in the room. If you really want transformation, you need to open a door or a window and remove it from the room. And that only happens with attention.
And it may be uncomfortable. It's never the easiest thing to go through, but not facing it only delays the transformation, only delays what will eventually be a positive outcome. And because life moves in spirals, this is what I see. Like, you try to avoid it at this stage, it just compounds and get bigger down the line. There could be some band-aid solutions or band-aid steps you take, but the core of that wounding is not going to go away. It will come back and it will compound, it will snowball, it gets bigger until there is no choice. There's nothing else for us to do but actually sit there and face this.
Correct. And the gift is if you get to sit there and face it with someone who really understands what it is you're trying to achieve, someone who isn't judgmental, they're able to listen to your story, stay neutral, and offer maybe a little sage advice if you want to hear it, or just hold space for you to come to the resolution yourself. Because often if someone's listening to your story, you will eventually resolve it yourself. You will find all of the clues. You will uncover what you need to. You will connect back to the root issue all by yourself. And actually, I think good friends do this for each other all the time. And from a practitioner perspective, finding people that become part of your toolkit to resolve and solve the issues that are coming up in your life is an enormous gift that you give to yourself. Transformation isn't a race. It's a relationship we have with ourselves and with our hearts.
Anita, earlier on you touched on the phrase compassionate witnessing. And I think this is a beautiful tool we can leave our audience with today, because this is something that they can do for themselves, by themselves, in a very gentle way and incorporate it into their routine, a daily routine. So basically, compassionate witnessing means turning towards the shadow stuff, the anger that we usually shove down, the shame that whispers we're not enough, the jealousy that stings, or the old hurts we've buried. But we witness it with the same gentle, non-judgmental presence that we will give a dear friend who's hurting. So instead of criticizing or trying to fix it right away, we show up as a kind witness. And this is like saying to ourselves, hey, I see you, I see you. This feels really heavy, painful, and scary right now, but that's okay. I'm here with you. I personally think this is healing because so many of the shadow parts got pushed away in the first place because they didn't feel safe or acceptable. As a kid, we've somehow developed this idea that that is not safe or acceptable. And showing vulnerability got shut down, or anger felt dangerous. So when we meet them now with real compassion, with no rushing to change, no shaming, just steady, loving attention, we're giving them the acceptance they missed back then. So that presence alone starts to melt the defenses. The part feels seen and held, so it doesn't have to hide, explode, or control us from the shadows anymore. Hopefully over time we'll feel less triggered, more whole, and kinder to ourselves overall. So these are a couple of actionable little steps. Whenever we're feeling overwhelmed and going through all this big stuff, spot the moment. And how do we do that? When a strong feeling or old pattern pops up, like a flare of irritation, a wave of self-doubt, or when envy is hitting hard, pause. Even 30 seconds helps. And then we create space. Step back just a tiny bit inside yourself and notice it. Okay, shame is here. I'm feeling it tight in my chest. Or, ooh, anger is rising hot and fast. Name it softly without labeling it good or bad, right or wrong. And then breathe and soften. Take a few slow breaths. Place a hand on our belly or heart if it feels grounding. Then offer something gentle inside. This hurts, and I get why it's here. Or, you're safe to feel this now. I've got you. And then we stay present. Sit with it for a minute or two, or longer if you have the luxury. Watch how it shifts in your body or your mind. Does it soften, intensify, then ease? No need to analyze it yet. Just be a compassionate observer. And then lastly, we wrap it with kindness. And by thanking that part. Thank you for showing up. I'm listening. Now make it a habit. Do this with the small stuff daily so it feels and becomes natural. So that when the bigger waves come, you'll have the muscle memory to meet them with warmth instead of panic. So it's not about being perfect or healing everything overnight. It's about showing up consistently with that quiet, loving presence.
That's so beautiful, Azriena. You said it beautifully. I was thinking of an alchemical tool that we could use today. And one that I'm noticing is in the collective consciousness, we're so aware that there's so much programming that goes on around us, whether it's through media or just energetically, to be honest. So I would invite you to think of yourself as a coder. And I want you to go into your divine soul blueprint, find and identify those emotions that have been popping up for you recently. So whenever you're busy doing something and that critical voice starts to speak to you, or you have an emotion that's triggered in you and you're not even quite sure where it came from, I want you to pause for a minute and identify the energetic statement of that emotion or of what you're feeling. And now I want you to imagine that you've got a computer screen in front of you and that statement appears before you on the screen. Run the mouse over the text. And I want you to imagine there's an energetic keyboard in front of you. Press delete and see the screen in front of you go blank. And take a deep breath in and then breathe out and recognize everything is energy. We're responding to everything out there in the universe, and it is all about the energy. So test this out and let me know how you go with this energetic recoding of your programming.
And as we've said earlier, these are not overnight fixes. They are a lifelong practice of gentle, honest meeting. But every moment we choose to stay present instead of bypass, we are alchemizing. As we come to the end of this time in the shadows, carry this with you. The parts that feel fractured or falling apart are not mistakes. They are sacred invitations. Invitations to deeper authenticity, to accelerated soul evolution, to a wholeness that extends far beyond your individual story into the collective healing we are all a part of. You are not falling behind. You are unfolding exactly when and how your deeper self needs. Thank you for trusting this space and walking these shadows with us today. Whatever stirred in you, hold it gently, breathe into it, let it whisper its gifts over the coming days. And if you'd like to find out more about our work, both Anita and mine, you'll find the links to our websites in the bio. Until our next transmission, keep alchemizing, one honest, courageous breath at a time. With deep love and reverence for your path, this is Galactic Alchemy signing off for now. We'll see you soon.